Welcome back to Askewed Reviews. And throughout this year and probably most of next year, I'm going through the entire Disney animated collection. And since I already did the first film, I'm now going to do the sequel with the 2002 movie Cinderella II Dreams Come True. Here is your trivia question for today. When Jock becomes human, what name is given to him? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, in this sequel, which is actually going to be an anthology, we pick up with some of the characters from the first film. So, the mice, which were Cinderella's friends, have decided that they want to create a storybook for her, and they are able to do so with the help of her fairy godmother. The first story involves Cinderella and the prince coming back from what can only be assumed is their honeymoon. The king immediately needs to whisk away the prince, as the two of them need to go take care of a particular matter. So Cinderella is left behind, but not left alone, as she also has Prudence and her two assistants, Daphne and Beatrice, there as well. And Prudence plans on taking this opportunity to turn Cinderella into a lady. The next story is all about Jock, as he feels that he is unable to help Cinderella as much as he would like to, but could only do so if he was big. So the fairy godmother changes him into a human. He then spends the day finding out if it's more difficult to be a mouse or to be a man. The last story involves Lady Tremaine and her two daughters, Drizella and Anastasia. Although the main character for this is definitely Anastasia. As the three ladies are visiting the market, Anastasia ends up running into the baker, and they end up hitting it off pretty quickly. This story seems to center around the idea of whether or not love or your station in life is more important. This film was directed by John Kafka. Now, even though some of the voice actors from the original film were still alive, none of them were brought back for this movie. Jennifer Hale took over as the voice of Cinderella. Rob Paulson was the voice of Jock. He also did the voices for the human version of Jock, the baker, the Grand Duke, and Bert the Mouse. Corey Burton took over as Gus, and also did Mert the Mouse and the stable hand. Tress MacNeille voices Anastasia. Russie Taylor does the voices of the fairy godmother, Drizella, Mary the Mouse, Daphne, and Beatrice. Suzanne Blakesley plays Lady Tremaine. Holland Taylor is Prudence. Christopher Daniel Barnes voices the prince. And what's funny is this is actually the second time he would voice a Disney prince, as he was also Eric in The Little Mermaid. And in case Barnes looks familiar, he also played Greg Brady in the Brady Bunch movies. Andrei Stojka plays the king. Technically, when it came to Lucifer, as he doesn't speak but just makes noises, they could have had June Foray come back from the first film to continue to do Lucifer. She was still voice acting at the time, but instead they decided to go with Frank Welker, who would not only do Lucifer but also Pom Pom and Bruno. Here's something you may not have noticed, but when Cinderella is in her room crying, the music you can hear is A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes from the first film. Between the first and second Cinderella movies, there is a 52-year gap. This is not, however, the longest gap between Disney sequels. Something you may or may not have figured out while watching this anthology movie is that the film is actually made up of the remains of a potential Cinderella TV series that they were going to bring to the Disney Channel. So when it comes to the film Cinderella II Dreams Come True, this one was okay. When you realize that this was originally just going to be episodes for a television series, it makes a lot more sense, and I think I enjoyed it a bit more once I understood that. So I think I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 5. And now it's time to answer the trivia question from the beginning of this episode. When Jock becomes human, what name is given to him? So by complete mistake and not by his own choice, he ends up with the name of Sir Hugh. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Askewed Reviews, and if there's a movie you'd like to see get a review, just mention it in the comments.